So first of all, I know this is just video games. In the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal. There are certainly greater injustices in the world that are more deserving of your attention, but this is something that is important to me because video games are important to me. It's a hobby I've had forever and a passion of mine, so this is what I want to talk about right now. I first heard about this on Twitter and then on a podcast I listened to, the Co-Optional podcast, like they need a shout out from me. But what's happened is it has come to light that Activision, the company that owns Blizzard Entertainment, who makes a lot of my favorite games, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, Hearthstone, StarCraft, and Diablo, those are all the games they make. If you didn't know, they have patented a process for using the matchmaking system in multiplayer competitive games to influence people to buy more in-game items. That may not sound like that big of a deal, but what they've said, and this is spelled out in the patent, this isn't just like a conspiracy theory of people just being like, well, they could use it for this. No, they're saying specifically it would be used for this. It would be used to influence you if you haven't bought any in-game items, or if you haven't bought a certain item. It will match you against people of greater skill, people who are better than you, who have that item, so that when you get killed by that person over and over, you go, oh, well, I should get that item. And then, if you do buy the item, it matches you against terrible people who are below your skill level, so that you're, like, just running rampant over everybody, and you're like, wow, this was a great purchase. I should buy in-game items more often. That's terrible. That's so sinister. Like, I can't believe... I almost have to admire the evil genius of coming up with something like that, using the matchmaking system to try to squeeze, like, to manipulate people, to try to squeeze more money out of the players. Like, but that's horrible. Like, that, you can't, like, that defeats the purpose of even having a matchmaking system, because the whole point of the matchmaking system is that it's supposed to group you with people who are of equal skill level, or at least pretty close. So people in your group and the people you're fighting against are all pretty much the same skill level. So that the fights are closer, it's more fun, you don't have one person just stomping all over the other, because that's not really that much fun for anybody. And this just completely ruins that, so that they can get more money out of us. Like, ugh. And at first I was like, well, as long as the only items you can buy are cosmetic items, like in Overwatch, this shouldn't be that big of a deal. But what actually, it kind of will still be bad, because they could match you with people, or they could match you against people who have skins and things that you don't, just to throw those in your face, and just as a marketing tactic to make you go, oh, look at these cool skins, I want to go buy one. And that doesn't affect the gameplay as much, except that you're still not getting matched against appropriately skilled people. You're getting matched against people based on what skins they have, not based on how well they do in the game. So again, defeats the whole purpose of matchmaking, and instead it's just using it as this manipulative marketing tool, trying to get more money from you. It's just, it's terrible. And the worst thing about all of this is that now that it's come to light, there's no going back. What are they gonna do? They're gonna promise us, oh, just kidding, we won't really use this. Like, how do we know? Why would we ever trust them? Like, they're not required to disclose when they're using it and when they're not. And why, well, you know, they're certainly not going to tell us if they decide to use it in a future game, because they're not just gonna come out and say, oh yeah, we intentionally made the game worse. We made it less fun to manipulate you into giving us more money. Like, of course they're not gonna tell us. So from now on, in every Activision game with a competitive online mode, we're gonna be sitting here wondering, like, is the matchmaking even working right? Or is it just trying to get me to buy stuff? Like, it's terrible. And it's not like they could just revoke the patent or release it, or whatever the word would be, to undo it. They can't just undo it, because then other game companies could do it. Like, at least right now, it's only Activision who legally can do this. If they got rid of the patent, anybody who wanted to could do it, and now that it's common knowledge that this is a thing, now that this idea is out there, other game companies certainly would want to do it. So It's just, there's no winning. Like, competitive online gaming has just been made a little bit worse by this, and it's never going to recover. It's very sad.